Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to this week's Harmonize 2Energize, which is a free 40-minute webinar where I, who is Terry Matthews, share some of the self-help practices brought to us by our teacher, Mary Burmeister. And I am a representative of the Mary Burmeister Jin Shin Jyutsu Institute, which is the authentic source of Jin Shin Jyutsu in the world. Jin Shin Jyutsu is a way of harmonizing energy as it passes through our bodies, congruently or not. And we place our hands left and right of our spine on our body, palms, back of hands, thumbs on what we call safety energy locks. And they also extend into the arms. By placing our hands, palms, thumbs there, we can unblock where the energy has got caught up, restricted, whatever word you use to describe a blockage. And we use our breath to help move those blockages. And in today's Harmonize to Energize, we'll be focusing on the 36 breaths technique, which utilizes 4 sets of 9 inhalation exhalations. But before I go into the practices, a warm welcome to anyone who is completely new to Jin Shin Jyutsu. And I want to take us to the website so that those of you that are not familiar can connect yourself with how Jin Shin Jyutsu is currently offering practices and classes globally. So let's go have a look at the website. And here it is, www.jsjinc.net. You can scroll down on the homepage and you get a glimpse of all the different kinds of classes that we hold, present. And coming up tomorrow on April the 9th at 2 o'clock is a 2-hour webinar presented by Anita Willoughby in English on connectivity through the lens of fascia for a healthy and happy back stroke body. Here's all the information, what you will be discussing, the fee, registration, and if you want to use PayPal, you can click here. I'm going to be your host with Anita tomorrow, so we'll look forward to that. And already begun is a basic seminar, which is the 5-day practitioner seminar with Ioli Lebenstein, which started on March the 16th. Here's all the information. This is in a format of 1 session a week, which some people prefer to the 5 days, one after the other. Here are all the dates and times, and recordings are available. Here's the registration fees, etc. And that's true of all our courses that are online. There are, in fact, 3-month replays available. Beginning April the 22nd, special topic, menopause and fertility, taught by German instructor Walter Rieger Krauser. There's all the information, the times, and where you can register. And then if you've missed any of our classes online, you can click on any of these links and you can find out what has been, and in some cases, what will be. Click on there, pay your fee, and you will get a link to download and look at the replays for up to 3 months. Okay. So just one last point before we go into self-help practices. Jin Shin Jyutsu is not a replacement for any kind of medical treatment that you may or may not be receiving at this time. It is a complementary therapy, if you want, or practice, which we use in addition to enhance the healing process. So hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. It's a pleasure to be with you. And today we're going to be looking at Safety Energy Lock 20. And let's have a look at the slide so we can See exactly where it is on the body. Safety energy lock 20. There it is on the forehead. And Mary gives us her insight into what Safety Energy Lock 20 came into the universe meaning, which was everlasting eternity. And as is my pleasure on these particular presentations, I like to share the insights of some of the Jin Shin Jyutsu instructors. And we have two instructors who talk to us through the main central that used to be the publication that we would offer. We no longer offer. You can actually get the back issues, though, if you wish, by ordering from our store. And these are compilations of stories, inspiring stories about Jin Shin Jyutsu and insights into the theory and practice of Jin Shin Jyutsu. So Safety Energy Lock 20, as discussed by Matthias Roth, who is no longer one of our instructors, but indeed was for many years. And he says 20 may be one of our most used safety energy locks. You will often touch it unconsciously as you rub or hold your forehead in an effort to remember or think. Without even knowing it, we all use 20 to help memory and concentration and clarity of mind. Yeah, when you're attempting to remember something that may be eluding you, you often, well, now let me see now, and we tap our forehead. Well, that's the number 20, Safety Energy Lock. And he goes on to expand on what Mary said, the eternal, everlasting, perpetual consciousness. So beyond memory help, 20 helps you delve into such deeper layers of remembering that it may spark timeless memory of who and what you truly are. You see from the practical down to earth all the way to spiritual evolution. And 20 will let you open your eyes. All knowledge lies within myself. Having new eyes is what it takes to uncover it. 20 will let you open those eyes, allowing you to amalgamate with universal consciousness. In universal consciousness, we see simplicity. In simplicity, I see that holding my little finger is to be harmonizing number 20. Autoride Regerkrause, a German instructor too, 20 is again a number 2. It allows us to see the everlasting infinite wisdom of the universe. With the 19, I freed myself from all limitation of physical matter so that I can be eternal consciousness with number 20, what I already am. 20 is the end of all mental activities. By holding 20s, my mental activities will slow down, and in this stillness of mind, I will receive knowledge from the archives of eternity. It's like all of a sudden, out of the stillness appears some insight, and this is something that has to do with universal truth. 20 develops logical thinking and common sense. It is the all-knowing spirit, the jewel of the mind. As it is located on the forehead, it will help frontal headaches and all around the eyes, like people working with computers, etc. And Mary mentions here by applying a jumper cable to Safety Energy Lock 20 here, it will help the chest, the heart, the head, the ears, the eyes, equilibrium, and basically any tension, stress, disharmony. And she shows us how you can hold the 22s. And sometimes people wonder why we're not holding the 20s. Well, you can. I think this is Mary being practical. Holding up here after a while can be a little tiresome. Holding the 22 is pulling that energy down from the 20. And the 22s connect us with 144,000 special function energy, which is really universal. Mary then shows us what Matthias mentioned, holding the little finger to help harmonize the 20. And then also we have here jumper cable in the upper arm with the opposite thigh. And here the relationship is bus line. And when we talk about the placement of safety energy locks, 20 relates to bus line activation. Here it is, number 20. Number 21 is waistline, and 22 here, hip line. But if you want to open the bus line, you can go to the hip line. All right, so without further ado, let us begin the practice. And we can start by holding, it's up to you really. You can either hold the 20s or you can hold the 22s. And we'll do this for a set of 9 exhalation inhalations. And an exhalation inhalation is the equivalent of 1 breath in Jin Shin Jyutsu. And we breathe out from the back of the head, safety energy lock 4, down the front of the body through safety energy lock 15, down to the big toes, safety energy lock 7, and then from 7 back through the hip line area 15-2, back to the 4. That's 1 breath. Do that 9 times, ending the cycle, pausing and observing how we feel. So let us begin. As I say, you can choose either to hold here or hold here. I'm going to hold my 22s with my thumbs. And we're just going to close eyes, sit up as straight as we can. If you need support for your back, get a cush, tuck it behind your lower back. And then just drop those shoulders where we hold a lot of tension. Allow the energy to just drop down from the shoulder through the hip line to the big toe. Let us begin 9 exhalation inhalations. As we let go, the energy moves through those particular areas, those segments of the body. And it connects with Mother Earth, which drains away all those things that we no longer need. And then we receive cosmic purified energy on the inhale. We let go to build something new, and then we purify what we've built. 8 more times. There's no particular way to breathe in terms of in through the nose or out through the mouth. Do what comes naturally to you. And as we release tension, we begin to feel a pulsation at these safety energy locks. That's the energy telling us that we're connecting and communicating between these places, between these safety energy locks. Feels like the blood pulse, but the blood actually follows the energy, and our focus is on the energy. When we reach the 9th exhalation inhalation in our own time, We all have different metabolic rates. When we do step into the neutral gear, the neutral zone, see how you feel. Any change from where you began. Another definition of Safety Energy Lock 20, by the way, is seeing as the Creator sees. And my understanding of that is non-judgmentally. Universal consciousness is not judging. It is simply seeing what it is as it is. And Mary has a saying, it is as it is, and as it is, it is. No judgment. Acceptance. And when the mind expands into universal consciousness, we realize that judgments of all kinds can block the flow and the connection to universal expansion of awareness. Because the mind is a great processor, but it doesn't fully encapsulate the wisdom. So we're going to do our second set of 9 exhalation inhalations, holding either left or right thumb. Sorry, little finger, a little dyslexic here. And the way I like to teach this part of the journey is just check each segment of the finger to find which one, especially the sides, is more tender. And you can choose perhaps to hold that one. And again, we hold the poses straight back, keep our shoulders relaxed, drop them gently, smile, bow your head slightly, exhale. And inhale. Letting go in order to grow. And building upon the new, expanding our awareness. And universal consciousness. And the 20s are either side of the central, what is often called the third eye, connecting to the pineal gland. And this is where we may be able to see universal consciousness, the perception of light and images. Important not to get attached to these images, just to be aware that the universal consciousness takes us into dimensions that are not normally visible to the naked eye. Endless infinity. It's like a cosmic light show. And as we come to the 9th exhalation, inhalation, hopefully we're feeling some peace, because not only have we been activating safety engine lock 20 to calm and focus the mind, in this case we've been holding the little finger, and that calms the heart. And a peaceful heart relates to a peaceful mind. The heart houses the mind. What does that mean? Heart energy goes deep into the mind, into the brain. And when we're having crazy, chaotic thinking, our heart feels unsettled. When we calm the mind, the heart is calm, and vice versa. So see how you feel. Just observe where you are, where you be. And then the third practice, the upper arm and the opposite thigh. So it's high 19 and opposite high 1, or high 1 and opposite high 19, whichever way you want to look at it, for those of you that are familiar. So you can see it's the upper arm and the opposite thigh. And choose which side again, and feel which one may be fuller than the other, a little tighter. Maybe that's the one you hold. Sitting up straight, exhale, drop shoulders. And begin your 9 exhalation inhalations. Allowing the energy to spiral down to the depths of your being, to the earth, feel the connection with the earth, and then the energy spiraling up from the earth back down the head. Very important to feel that connection, because as we focus on opening a safety engine lock like the 20, which can take us into different dimensions, there might be a temptation to go out of space or space out, because those images might be very attractive. When we connect to the earth, we allow those images to ground. Visions of maybe what we want to be or what we want to bring into being can be grounded. So remember, don't just float off like a bliss ninny. Just connect and feel grounded, and you'll notice how much more integrated everything feels. And for those of you who are new, what we're listening for when we have our hands on these safety engine locks, again, is that pulse. That it feels and sounds just like the radial artery pulse, the beat that we feel when we hold that pulse. We're listening for energy, but the blood follows the energy. So that's what you're probably going to hear. And that tells you that where your hands are now communicating. There's congruency, connection. And connection can bring harmony, and that's what we're looking for. We don't want those roadblocks unless we like restricting our consciousness, in which case we'll leave the roadblocks where they are. But how much do we miss by holding on? Okay, we're placing our hands on the body and it feels like we're holding on to something, but not really. We're activating. Of course, if we grip too tight, yeah, we're controlling and holding. So you just touch gently and you feel the connection. We're tuning into universal laws which know what we need. So when you reach that 9th exhalation, inhalation with this practice, just slip into neutral zone. See how you feel. And make no judgment. I talked about seeing as the Creator sees. Just experience where you are, what you feel. No judgment. It is what it is. It may feel sometimes uncomfortable. Okay, breathe through it. The breath allows us to neutralize disharmonies. And our mind gets engaged. Oh, that's because that person said this and that, and I ate that. Okay. Maybe some of that is significant reminders not to eat something in future that makes you feel uncomfortable or whatever. Or maybe it reminds you how to better deal with a difficult, challenging situation. But don't hang on it. Have an idea, have a resolution, let it go. So the 4th and final practice, we're going to go back to that 22 area, but this time we're going to give ourselves a hug and we're going to hold the thumbs underneath the shoulder girdle for the 22, and the fingers will go to the side of the shoulder blade, which is small intestine area, which are harmonized along with the heart with the small fingers. How serendipity. So let's give ourselves a hug. And exhale. Keep your shoulders down. Keep your back straight. Close eyes. 9 exhalation inhalations. As I say, allowing the energy to spiral down to the earth for your connection, for your roots. And, it's a little contrary perhaps, but your roots are actually in heaven. It's a spirit level. We subdivide the body into soul, mind, body. And our roots are our bus-line spirit. Our trunk is our waistline mind. And the fruits are what we bring forth, our hip line. Body. So when you've done your 9 exhalations, inhalations, just settle wherever you are and just acknowledge where you've been and where you are now. And just as a linkage to Anita's webinar tomorrow, she's basically going to be talking about the connections between those 3 main areas, soul, mind, and body. In Chinese medicine, they call it the sanjiao. Physiologically, it's the fascia. We also call it, in Jin Shin Jyutsu, umbilicus, triple warmer. It connects everything, soul, mind, and body, all the energy pathways, 6th depth, for those of you that are familiar with the study of Jin Shin Jyutsu. It allows the energy that moves up and down the spine to actually move up and down the spine congruently. It's like the lift, moving energy up and moving energy down, is actually controlled by the movement of energy through the fascia. We call it umbilicus level. It also ties in with the diaphragm or heart protector. One allows the energy to move up and the other allows the energy to move down. So that may be a webinar that you might find very, very interesting, because if the fascia in any way are not congruently facilitating the movement of energy up the back and down the front, you might want to work with the fascia. You might want to work with your 6th depth, umbilicus, and diaphragm. So, how are you all feeling? We'll stop the slideshow and we'll come back to the chat. Any questions? No. Okay. And holding one safety energy, does that work when on the phone? Well, think about it. Even if your hand is on the phone and your other hand is there, you got the energy that's now connecting to a phone and to the energy of another person, which is actually moving through your body to that energy lock and then back to that person. Because energy knows no barriers. Yes, it does work, but it may be now that you're connecting to somebody else as well, beyond yourself. Am I making sense? Yeah. So with any energy work, one hand on a safety energy, one hand on a phone, one hand on a plant, right? One hand on an animal. We're making a connection. In fact, it's a very nice thing to do if you want to introduce yourself to an animal. This is a suggestion. It's up to you how you operate. You might feel like placing your hand on your heart and then placing the other hand on the reflex point of the animal's heart, on the back, which is safety energy lock 10 along their spine. Or maybe you'll touch your heart this way and then hold their heart, and you're saying hi. You're saying hello to them, right? You could experiment with that. There's no rules about that. And or you could just decide to place both of your hands on them. And then, as with Jin Shin Jyutsu, there's a loop. You become the jumper cable. You're really strongly jumper cabling then. Yeah? So experiment, experience. I'm one for being your own testimony, as some of you may realize from my comments on Facebook, etc. I believe Mary was very much that kind of individual. She wanted us to experiment. She had insights and wisdom that she had learned from Jiro Marai, and then she expanded upon it. But she wanted us to open to our wisdom too, so that we could learn from our own personal experience. What is a good point to hold for sorrow and loss? Well, sorrow and loss, Diana, is normally related to what we call second depth, safety energy locks 5 and 15. Well, when we're in sorrow, we're often feeling very depressed in our heart area. So you could, in fact, place your hands on the middle 13, which is central there of the sternum, or on the 13s, and that moves that energy of maybe grief and sadness. You could have your fingers on the 22. You could give yourself a hug. Again, you're covering the bus line. Or you could move that energy further down to the 14s, which are on the waistline here. Or you could go to the 15s, which is fill our heart with joy and laughter. All those safety energy locks, bar the 22s, are actually in second depth, which harmonizes sadness and grief. And shortcuts would be to hold thumb, perhaps, ring finger. That's a connection between lung and large intestine. And heart, little finger. So there's many ways, which, by the way, will activate safety energy lock 15. This finger we talked about, lung, large intestine, will activate the 14. And the middle finger will actually activate the 13. And this week in Facebook, when I was talking about how Mary suggested we could harmonize a lot of frustration or perhaps anger, she suggested in this order of holding the little finger, the ring, and the middle. Now, she didn't say what I suggested, but this is just me experiencing and practicing and wanting to be my own testimony. You could experiment by holding all these three fingers with your opposite thumb across them on the palm side. I'm saying palm side because it's most comfortable, and also it allows the energy to descend. When we're angry, frustrated, or sad, we're holding the energy in and up usually. We want to bring the energy down to the ground, to Mother Earth, the great nurturer. There's the thumb, spleen, and stomach, bringing in that compassion element, which we need to show to ourselves as much as others. So maybe that was a little round the houses, Diana, but hopefully you picked up something from there. And if you didn't, the replay will be available. You should get one from Webinar Jam, and then it's on YouTube when I actually upload it. So we're coming up to the end of the 40 minutes. Yes, Regina. I don't know. I've often wondered how you pronounce. I think it's Regina, isn't it? In fairness, yeah, it's wonderful that there are options. There's such flexibility in the art of Jin Shin Jyutsu, and for the new people, the art of Jin Shin Jyutsu, the Japanese definition is the art of the creator through compassionate man. I add the who to that because human, And for anyone else who's interested, who is a mantra in Sufism which opens the heart, where we find our compassion. So, human, right? And yeah, the flexibility is there with Jin Shin Jyutsu, many levels that we can connect to and allow the energy to move more congruently. So, hope you all have a good rest of the day and week, and the following week until next Friday. And I believe next Friday we have a mystery presenter, as David pointed out in his acknowledgement of Harmonize to Energize. Nearly every other week we have somebody who has an inspiring story to relate, plus some self-help practices. And I encourage any of you that do have stories but may be a little shy to give me an email at info@jsjinc.com, and then we can look at your story and maybe arrange for you to come on and share it with everyone with practices. And, don't be shy, because you'll be surprised as soon as you just get the hang of it and you start the first word, the first exhale, it'll all come together. And if you want to have any slides, you can ask me if we can set up some slides and things like that. And, that'll distract the attention from everyone looking at you while they look at the slides. if you're concerned and you feel a little bit intimidated, because it can be until you get used to it. But that's why we do Jin Shin Jyutsu, exhalation, inhalation, right? It helps us relax. It helps us embody the here and now. And, when we're feeling a little shy and frightened and scared and all the rest, we're out of our center. So before you come on, do 9 exhalation, inhalations. Oh, and by the way, you don't always have to stick to 36 breaths. You can do multiples of 9. I just say be your own testimony. Do as much as it takes for you to feel harmonized. And normally you'll feel that in your heart. Peace in your heart. So it's cheerio from me, and thank you again for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to share. And au revoir to our friends from France. Auf Wiedersehen for our friends from Germany. I don't know all the other lingos, but cheerio anyway. And be safe, take care, be gentle, be kind to yourself and others. It makes a difference. All right. Bye, everybody. Why do you have to re-register, Regina? I don't know. It shouldn't happen. I just saw that. Once you've registered once, you should be able to get it every week. Interesting. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe I'll check that out. Once you register, you should continue to get the emails every week. Now I'm really going.